Right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. I am Mary Kate McGarvey. I'm a teacher specialist in the elementary math office, and I'm also our grade 5 lead. I'm super excited to have everyone here today virtually. So welcome and thank you for your time. And thanks for introducing yourself in that chat. Just a quick plug for our Twitter page. If you don't follow us already, please do. There is our Twitter handle. And also feel free to tweet while you're working away during our session today. So just a couple norms before we dive in. If you would utilize that chat feature as much as you can, because we do have quite a few people in here, I will definitely try to answer as many questions as I can, as best as I can. We do have a few different segments that I'll be able to kind of get back to you on some of those questions. If you could stay muted during this time, that would be awesome. There are a few times that we would love to hear from you and would love for you to share. So please unmute yourself during those times and let us know your thoughts. For those of you who need closed captioning, you can turn on closed captioning if you go down to the very bottom of your screen where you would mute yourself or turn your camera on and off, and you can turn captions on there. So that all being said, here is our elementary mathematics vision statement. If you would just take a moment to refamiliarize yourself with our vision statement. So today we're really going to be focusing on accessible. So we're going to be talking about using virtual tools to meet the needs of all of our students, whether that's virtual manipulatives or our platform. We're also going to be talking about that community. So how can we build a mathematics community among ourselves and our school teams? And how can we build that community through our classrooms, thinking about those opportunities for discourse and really creating that culture in our class. And lastly, we're going to be looking at the beauty of mathematics. And we're really going to be talking about how we can engage students in seeing that math is fun and creative and collaborative, even though we're in a virtual environment and we're not in our brick and mortar setting. So our I can statements for today, we're going to explore strategies for a virtual math lesson. We actually have a math lesson that we taught during new teacher orientation. That's kind of how we're envisioning how one of our math lessons could work that you're going to be able to watch. We're also going to understand the scope and sequence for grade 5. So we've added to that scope and sequence. We're going to talk a little bit more about what that scope and sequence entails. And you're also going to have some time to meet with your grade level team and collaborate and plan that first week of math instruction and maybe explore a little bit more. So lots to do. That all being said, we're going to start by having you complete a task. So your mission, and you will have 60 seconds to complete this, you are going to find an item in your house that describes you as a mathematician. As soon as you have your item, feel free to hold it up in the screen. Feel free to put in the chat box what your item is and how it describes you. So our time is going to start now. Well, almost now. My computer's delayed. I like how I'm seeing some people up and moving. Remember, if you have something, go ahead and say how it describes you as a mathematician. I like glasses. Look closely. I'm seeing a lot of like pencil, paper, writing down information, write out thinking. Checkbook. That's the second time I've heard checkbook today. All right, that is time. Let's just take a quick second. Does anyone want to share out? Go ahead and unmute yourself and share out what you picked and why. Anyone feeling brave?
Hey there, it's Crystal Kane. I'm over at Sept, and I chose the calculator on my phone because I like to check my work.
Awesome. Thanks, Crystal. Great way to check your work. Anyone else want to share?
This is Jason Wilcox from Marley Elementary. I use my notebook religiously to show my work, solve my problems, gather information, strategies, all those kind of fun things.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. Great. So this is an activity that you could do with your students, especially as we're getting to know them. It's going to be a little different to build those relationships and really understand them as learners this year. So this is just a fun activity. Obviously, know your students. You might want to set some parameters with some fifth graders about what kind of things they might grab, but just something to think about that you can add to your toolbox. All right. So just to kind of get a couple elephants out of the way, just want to go over some updates. So this is just going to kind of be quick. If you have questions, like I said, please feel free to add them in the chat. I will make sure that I can address them as best as I can at some point before the end of this presentation. So you may have noticed already, we have a scope and sequence up in Blackboard. The scope and sequence for every grade is right when you click in the grade level. It should be right there at the top, the first thing that you see in that grade level. Within the scope and sequence, you may have already seen, but we will have essential tasks. So essential tasks are written and meant to be taught synchronously. So these are different than what we had in the spring. So thinking about in the spring, it was more of a slide package or a lesson for students to do. These are not just a package that we're sending to students. These are going to be interactive, collaborative. There's some teacher instruction here. And these lessons were all specifically chosen because we have a compacted curriculum this year. So kind of a lot of thought went into what lessons are there and why. We have fewer days, less time for math instruction, and we also had to consider lessons if they would work virtually or not. So some lessons you'll notice are the same as lessons that you've taught previously, the same lessons that were in Blackboard, and some lessons you'll notice that you may never have seen them before, and that's just because we needed something that could work virtually. So kind of a lot of thought and give and take went into making those slides. In those essential tasks, you'll also see that there are teacher notes. So those might be questions or tips or ideas as you go through those essential tasks. And we'll definitely have some time today to look at those a little bit more carefully or a little bit more closely. And I'm here to answer any questions that you might have about that. You'll also notice in our scope and sequence that there's instructional implications and special notes. That's a column in the scope and sequence where this will be information that is unique to virtual learning right now or unique to the 2021 school year. So, for example, the first topic that we have is multiplication and division of whole numbers. And you'll notice for the multiplication standard, it says that all factors should have fewer than or 3 or fewer digits in the factor. So keeping that in mind, you won't see any 4-digit multiplication numbers in those essential tasks. And if you're pulling something from Blackboard or if you're pulling something from Ready Common Core, we would encourage you to do 3 or fewer digits. If something was not taught in 4th grade, or it was only taught in 4th grade online, so in e-learning, you'll see a note there too. And hopefully we can address some of those concerns in essential tasks. We're kind of starting out great in 5th grade because multiplication and division of whole numbers was not affected by e-learning. Students had that face-to-face. They had it in e-learning as well, but they also had it face-to-face. So hopefully we're starting out on a good foot. Also, kind of a hot topic, thinking about gradable opportunities. We're encouraging you to follow the Anne Arundel County grading regulations and utilize curriculum resources. So we're going back to how it was before the spring. So thinking about what's in the item bank, thinking about performance matters. We at this time are not selecting those opportunities for you. We encourage you to sit down as a school and work with your school team and select those gradable opportunities that are appropriate for your students, that are appropriate for the learning that they're receiving. Ready Common Core Teacher Toolbox and First in Math. You'll be able to get to both of those resources through ClassLink and through a single sign-in. So there won't be any codes, there won't be any weird names and passwords and whatever this year. So those will both work through ClassLink. We have been told today that Ready Common Core should be up today for every teacher who has a class assigned to them, hopefully by the end of business today. So we realize that right now you might not be able to get into one or both of these, but know that technology load is ongoing and hopefully you'll be able to get into that today. Fingers crossed. So some teacher materials, and I apologize, I realize I'm going really fast. So if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. Common Core Companion, as a grade 5 teacher, you need the 3 through 5 one. It's that spiral bound yellow book. Every teacher should have their own copy of that. Also, the Ready Common Core Teacher Edition. This should be at your school. If you can't get that, don't fret too much because everything in that book and more is on the toolbox. So there is that virtual option. Student materials. So all distribution of this is a school-based decision. Students are going to be getting that Ready Common Core work text. Those should already be in schools. In grade 5, students are going to be also receiving, in addition to the book bag, individually bagged place value discs. And just really quickly, the learning backpacks are for all content areas. So the discs will not be in the learning backpack, that's going to be separate. But in addition to the discs, they will be getting 120 charts, they will be getting a multiplication chart, and we're encouraging people not to open the backpacks to add items. So the discs are going to kind of be a separate, their own separate thing. Okay, whoops, sorry. I realized that was a lot of information, so please feel free, like I said, to ask any questions. We're going to take this time now and we're going to complete some modules. So we ask that you meet together with your school team, your school-based team. So what you're going to do is you're going to set up a separate Google Meet and meet with your school team. When you're with your school team, you have the choice. You could either stay in here and mute yourself and just turn your camera off, or you can leave here and come back. We will be coming back to this meet at 10:45. So if you do leave, just make sure you're back by 10:45. We're going to have a lot of time, hopefully in our school team, and you all will have some time to figure some things out. If you need me, I am going to stay in this meet this entire time. So please feel free to bounce back. You can either write in the chat or just talk to me, whatever works for you. So I'm going to send you, this is the specific Google site for a grade 5. Actually, before I do this, let me just show you one thing because I had a lot of questions about this in the last session. So I'm going to send you the link. You're going to come to this module, the grade 5 module. There's 2 different modules here. So module 1, you're going to be taking a glimpse in a virtual math lesson. This was us teaching new teachers. So it's just a chunk of new teacher orientation. And it's kind of how we're currently envisioning how this math block could go. Definitely would love feedback or other ideas if you have them. So just click the link, it'll take you out to a video. There's also a video here for module 2. This is the grade level exploration. This is the topic overview, or this is the overview for that first topic. So this is the overview for that multiplication and division of whole numbers unit. So take some time. There's some notes here for you to discuss with your team. Just remember, we're going to come back here by 9:45. And let me, I'm sorry, 10:45. It's 9:45 now. Let me share this link with you, and I will hopefully be able to answer some of these questions for you. So once again, you can either stay or you can leave this meeting, totally up to you.